Welcome. My first poem is about the seaside at Brighton. My dad came to England in 1954 from Uganda as a student, and in 1959 he came to Brighton, and he made a friend who was to last all his life, and they spent a lot of time on the seaside. So this first poem is about friendship and their friendship, and it's called Brighton by the Sea. In my mind's eye, I see what you saw. Our fathers in shirt and tie, trouser legs rolled up to the knee, afloat in a boat upon the sea, while you and your sister, with bobbed hair, played with pebbles along the shore. Our fathers brought together by the kosher meat they preferred to eat, an African and a Jewish man, a butcher and an engineer, sailing between the piers. The grand old West Pier where my mother used to dance, and the Palace Pier where my brothers took a chance playing truant in the amusements. English summers of yesterday, of seaside trips and friendships, grown lifelong in waters of liquid mirrors and silver shimmers fallen from the sun. Thank you. And this next poem is about the mix of cultures that people pick up throughout their lives. And this poem is sort of what I call my Jubilee poem, and it's called At Home with the Queen. He's African at home in Hove, where simmering on the stove are the kippers he eats in his slippers while watching the BBC on TV. Later on, in the other room, he plays Gilbert and Sullivan, old Congolese and Swahili bands, beating time with his hands, whiskey glass swaying on his knee, a member of the European Economic Community. A toast to the British Queen, long may she reign. Next morning, he's on the 7:45 for Reigate, with coat and gloves stowed above, seated, reading the Telegraph and Times, arriving on time at 9. Tickets please, says the clerk. Everything's going like clockwork. In Dar es Salaam, he's English on African time, tuning in to the BBC World Service while eating supper of fish, rice, beans, greens, and peanut sauce, and a beer, of course. Sitting on the balcony, Pilsner glass swaying on his knee, a member of the East African Community. A toast to the British Queen, long may she reign. Next morning, along Samora Avenue, he reads the daily news in the Dala Dala queues, watching the busboys shout and hiss at the Swahili miss. They all kss in the hope that she'll board their bus. Thank you. And this poem is about rejection and racism within the family context. And it's called With Tea and Sympathy. She opened the card sent from overseas and read, "With tea and sympathy, God bless Edie." A tea bag fell out onto the desk. I heard the irritation on Mum's breath. Is that all she can say after all these years away? I wonder who's at fault, Mum or Auntie? Then I remember Auntie stopped talking when Mum married a darkie. Right, this poem is about the loss of a deep love, bereavement, and then recovery. I know you have always loved your African father, he said to me. In his eyes I saw goodbye. In his eyes I saw sickness. I saw the inevitableness of death. My loss, my life worthless, cast adrift on reefs of grief and sorrow. But ceremonies in cemeteries begin the renewal, begins the journey of healing. The ritual at Woodvale, the overnight vigil, the burial in Dar es Salaam restores calm. The haven of peace brings relief, begins repair of my despair. Uganda, the anchor, his birthplace. Our compass points there, where gathered are our clan, our tribe, our ancestors. In these places and in their faces, I find familiarity, similarity, in their gestures, in their stature, in their language and in their laughter. I find my childhood security soothing me gently and contently. With them and with him, I stand on firm ground. I have found and I have been found. I hold and I am held. I am gabled and I am cradled in his arms. Thank you. And my last poem is about acceptance of loss and the continuum, and it's also about comfort in memory. And it's called The Land on Which I'm Buried. Do not worry on which land I'm buried, my old mother. Take courage. Yours was the land of my fathers, the land where I was grown. But there were many lands where I was known. And today I call Dar es Salaam my home. So my children, come and see me in Kinondoni. Sit a while with your memories. Think of how our lives used to be. Reflect on the familiar parts of me, like the sound of my voice, the touch of my hand. Feel my warmth in the sun and rejoice. Touch the terrazzo stone that bears my name. Hear the Lily Bolero, the world service refrain. Your senses reach out to all that was mine. My aftershave, the Marks & Spencer shirts, the ever-present Parker pen, my wide gap-toothed grin. That's how you remember me then. You think you glimpsed me in Magori Street. At Cylinder Bridge Club, I used to eat. I come to mind on Franco's beat. At the police officer's mess, you look for my seat. My absence is the bittersweet, for I'm here, but we'll never again meet. But don't grieve, lay down the burden of your heart, for you and I will never part. We are of that unbroken chain, a lineage that your children will claim, a thread that will continue forever, which my death cements but can never sever. Thank you very much.